Oh, you guys probably don't want to see me whip, do you? Even though our anchor chart for today's lesson says, watch me whip. I guess I'll leave that up to you guys. But today we're going to learn how to do a different kind of whip that you probably haven't heard about before. So we are going to learn all about how to do different test-taking strategies when we read different passages. So there's a little acronym, which is what this whip is, and I want to go over it with you guys first. So for the W, it says write down what you think the answer is. So when we read a passage and we have all our little answers, we want to make sure that when we're whipping, not literally, but when we're whipping, we write down what you think the answer is first. And then you are going to have evidence to support your answer, which is what Miss Garrett, and I know Miss York and Miss Blair and myself always tell you guys. Make sure you have evidence. That's when you have to go back in that text and find the evidence to support it. Then you're going to investigate your answer choices, all of your different answer options. So you're really going to look in there, dig in there super close, and try to figure out, so which one is the best answer? Because, you know, there's going to be those tricky ones that are good, but we want to find the best one. And then the last step of whipping is we have to put the answer that best matches our original prediction. So sometimes ours might be a little bit off, but I'm sure it won't be. I'm sure you guys will be perfect. So we also want to talk about some other little test-taking strategies that you guys will see on the next slide. And it's just kind of the same ones that whipping goes over, but really making sure that we go back to the text when we look for our answers, highlighting important information, highlight, underline, whichever one works best for you, annotating in the margins. Now, annotating, you might are asking yourself, what does annotate mean? So annotate means to write or jot little notes on the side after you read something, so that way you remember what you're reading about. And I'll show you how I used all of these strategies super soon. And then lastly, skimming the questions first can really help you know what you're going to look for. So before you even think about reading the passage, if you go back and read the questions first, then you'll know, okay, well, when I read this, am I looking for main idea? Am I looking for vocabulary words? Like, what am I looking for? It'll help you. So on the next couple of slides, you'll see some examples that I did with a passage for you guys. So I found this passage for myself, and it's called Spitting to Survive. And I read it, and it's all about how it's a nonfiction passage, and it talks about how spit, nasty, kind of helps us as humans, but it also helps animals. So I was able to use all my strategies, especially whipping, when I read this. So, and then it had questions. So of course, the first thing that I did when I saw these super cool questions was to read them. So I read them, and I'm not going to read them out for you guys because you guys can read them on the next couple of slides. But I read them, and I read my text, so I knew what I was looking for. And in the text, if you see, I wrote in the margins, and you can see the different areas where I wrote in the margins. And what I did there was, for the first paragraph, I just wrote next to it where I annotated, I said spit and how it helps humans. Short, sweet, to the point. So that way when I glance back at it, oh, I know that paragraph is all about how it helps humans. The next paragraph was all about llamas and how spit helps llamas and what llamas do with it. So I wrote how llamas use spit. Just a quick at the glance, so when you're going back, you can remember, because some of these passages are super long, and you don't want to have to reread the whole thing sometimes, but that's okay to do sometimes. So, oh, that's my dog. If you hear, my mom just got home, so he's super excited. So, I'm going to put this up there for you guys to see how to use all these different strategies to help you, and you can tell that I underline all the important aspects of the text. And something where it says, write down the answer that you think it is. Well, the last question, number 5, said, what is the author's purpose for writing this passage? If you look on my sheet, at the bottom, right down here, I wrote a little note. And it says, the author is trying to teach me how animals use spit in different ways. And I wrote that before I even looked at my answers. I just wrote down what I think the best answer is. So then I have to have evidence to support my answer. Well, I know it's nonfiction, and in the text I underlined those clues saying a llama feels threatened, they'll spit, or that snakes spray poisonous venom from their fangs to protect themselves, that's how they spit. So I have all my evidence underlined, or you can highlight it, and then I investigate my answer options. So my options, A says to tell a funny story. There was no funny stories told about animals. B says to teach the reader how animals survive. That's pretty good, and that really matches what I wrote down to begin with. But I want to keep looking. C says to express opinions about animals. It was a lot of facts, and it was nonfiction, so that means it's real, so there wasn't a lot of opinions. And then D says to show how animals are different. Well, now we have to go to the P. So we've investigated them. It says put the answer that best matches your original prediction. And when I read those, I'm like, well, B and D are super close. Like, that's a good and a best answer. Like, which one is the best, which one's good? To me, D is good. It did show us how animals are different, but the best one is to teach the reader how animals survive. And that's kind of what I wrote down here from the beginning, and I went through all of my whipping steps to prove that what I thought matches what the answer is. So, if you guys go to slide, give me 2 seconds, slide 13, that is going to be where you are going to be able to practice your test-taking strategies and whip your way through the passage. Don't forget, if you have any questions, all you have to do is raise your hand or comment on that class kick, and the Reading Renegades will be there to help. I'll see you guys later.